is there a sort of recommendation for how to change what I want? Wanting seems like it just shows up, or it's habitual programming. Yeah, it's a reprogramming of the system, but it's nobody's system. What happens is we've got this natural flow. So there is nothing, this infinite space of nothing. And then in that appears actions, not for anybody, not for a character, it just appears. The hand is moving, the legs are walking, the mouth is talking. And then there comes this this identity, or this, no, it doesn't even necessarily need to be identity. There is conditioning that can happen before identity, that parents tell you should be like that, or you should be like this, and you go against what's naturally appearing. So you go against the natural spontaneity of that human, and the human learns to be a certain way. And that's not actually the problem. That's just pain or pleasure. So it's painful being told you're not allowed to eat cookies continuously through the day, but it's painful to not be able to run around screaming when you feel like it. But that passes instantly. Like, so when I tell Khaleesi no, that just passes. And that's part of what we do in this life. The difficulty is where the chakras get really stuck and where the system gets really stuck is there is this natural flow appearing, this natural movement towards pleasure and away from pain. And then this identity is created that says, that's me, I am that. So it's just appearing instantly from this moment. It's infinite. It doesn't belong to anyone. This character, the feelings, the thoughts are appearing out of this infinite moment. And that's a natural way of being. That flows and just is the way it is. And then this identity claims that and says, that's who I am. And that belongs inside the body and that's mine. And as soon as that happens, it always feels like you lost a bit of yourself, because before everything was appearing from infinity. So everything was infinite. Your wants, your pains, your pleasure, life owned them. This moment owned them. So when the mother hit your hand for putting your hand in the cookie jar, it didn't belong to you. It wasn't your pain. It was life's pain. It was this moment's pain. When you got conditioned in a bad way, it was this moment's pain. Everything was in pain. And it just came from here and was this. And then this seeking energy claims to be something in time. That's me. And it's not just spontaneously happening from this infinite presence. It's happening to you who's moving in time, and you become a limitation and you become stuck in this ball of yourself. And this is when the body goes from being everything to getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And as you get older, you become identified with more things and you get tighter and tighter and tighter. And your reality, your perspective, your thinking, your creativity, everything becomes very narrow. Because you're creating and you're being from this narrow place of you, and this narrow place of you always feels like it lost something. It lost infinity. It lost everything. So it's always looking inside itself, inside the world, for completion. And that's kind of like a taking. It's like it becomes like hellish in a way. In an extreme way, identification is hell. It's like what we describe as hell characters. Like really, when the identification goes to absolute identification, and some people are going in and out of it, but when you're in deep suffering, you become a very nasty, tight, narrow-minded person. When you're in hate, really. Like you think you're right, you think you're better than, and it's other people's fault, and how dare they do this to you. And as you open, you become like this childlike wonder, which is your essence, because you're not identified with everything, and everything's more could be. You're open. Like you're not defined by what you think, by what you own, and you're not seeking to get freedom out of anything. You are free, and then there's this natural movement towards pleasure and away from pain and natural conditioning, and you might have problems with the chakra, but you balance it and you grow from it, and there's a natural way of well-being. But when you're identified, you feel this lack, and then you're always trying to fill that lack in time. And it's like you're trying to fulfill it in a false reality, because you're only ever here, you're only ever this moment, which is infinite. And you're trying to fulfill yourself in an imagined reality of you and what you own. And it's like the Buddhists have this really beautiful image of it, of like a hungry ghost. Like you have this really tiny, tiny mouth and this huge belly, and you're trying to stuff all this food inside of you to fill up your belly, but you can never do it because your mouth is so small. So by the time you got the tiny bit of food in your mouth, it's been digested and you're hungry again.